So we just finished adding and subtracting fractions. Now let's talk about the rules for multiplying fractions. And let's think about an application for this. You know, let's say it's after dinner, you have a pie left. Your mom's really nice to made pie, but you know, this is the amount that's left and you have to split it. You have to split it with your sister or your brother. So you get half of the leftovers. What fraction of the whole pie are you getting if this part that's left is 1/4? So here's the whole pie. The piece that's left right now is this one right here. This is 1/4 of the pie. And you're going to get half of that. So can you draw a picture to represent that? Well, if I'm getting half, I could break this 1/4 in half, but I'd have to keep going around the rest of the pie to get equal size slices. So if I broke this in half right here, you got a piece, your sister got a piece, what fraction of the whole pie are you getting? Well, you're getting 1 out of the 8 slices. Where did that come from? It came from 1/4 of the pie that you started with, and you're getting half of it, or you're multiplying. So how do we get this 1/8? Well, here's the rules for multiplying, and I know this example isn't in your notes, but I just wanted to show it to you. Copy down the rules here. You multiply, first of all, you do always want to change the mixed numbers to improper fractions first. And then you're multiplying straight across. You multiply the numerator times the numerator. 1 times 1 is 1. And then you multiply the denominator times the denominator. 4 times 2 is 8. It's as easy as that, but always make sure you simplify at the end. So multiplying fractions, just multiply straight across. So there's 4 examples to try this. After Thanksgiving dinner, Mrs. Von Block wants to keep half of the 4 3/7 leftover pies. She gives half of her leftovers to her family members to take with them. How many pies will she have left to keep? So remember what I told you, or remember what you might know from before. If you're getting half of this number, what operation does of mean in math? This word right here is pretty important. Half of this number will be multiply. You're getting half. What fraction represents half? So to do this problem, we would do 1/2 times the 4 3/7. So remember, the first thing you want to do is change the mixed numbers to improper. So 1/2 times 4 times 7 is 28, 29, 30, 31, 7ths. And remember, how do you multiply fractions just straight across? So 1 times 31 is going to give me 31, and 2 times 7 is going to give me 14. See if you can reduce it. It might help to change it to a mixed number first and see. So how many times does 14 fit into 31? 2 whole times. That gets me up to 28. What is my remainder? 28, 29, 30, 31. So 3, and keep that denominator. 14ths. So she will keep 2 3/14 of the pies. Let's try these other multiplication problems. Another thing that you might want to try if you like this is you can also simplify the problem first if you want. So I'm going to show you this on this second one. You don't have to do it this way. You can always simplify at the end too. When we multiply fractions, we'll multiply straight across. So we'll end up having 1 times 6 and 8 times 7. Instead of me doing that first, since I have a product and only a product in the numerator and the denominator of this fraction, I can simplify. What can I divide out of the numerator that is also in the denominator? Well, if you have 6 and 8, these both have a 2 in them. So divide them both by 2. 6 divided by 2 would give me a 3, the 2 is gone. And 8 divided by 2 would give me a 4, and the 2 is gone. The answer to this product that's left is going to be the same as what you would get if you would reduce that 2 at the end. But these are smaller numbers, so now it's easier. 1 times 3 is 3, and 4 times 7 is 28. Always check at the end just in case you missed anything, but now this does not need simplified farther. We already did the simplification. Let's try this next one here. Remember, there's a negative out front. Where can I put it? I think it's easiest to just put it up top. So this is the same as negative 7/8 times 4/7. You could simplify or you could multiply first. Doesn't matter which. Maybe you notice that you can simplify something right away. They both have 7. So let's take a 7 out of the numerator and take a 7 out of the denominator. You can call it cross-simplifying, but really the reason you're allowed to do it is because you would end up having it in the same fraction. So we would have this product here, then simplify your 7s. Negative 7 divided by 7 would be negative 1, and 7 divided by 7 would be 1. You can simplify other things too if you notice them. So what about the 4 and the 8? What can I take out of both of those? 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 8 divided by 4 is 2. Now multiply straight across with what you have left. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. 2 times 1 is 2. Notice though, this work could get really messy, so you want to be very careful. If you didn't do that, that's okay. If we multiply straight across from here, we would have negative 28 over 56. And then you could reduce at the end. So we could take out a 7 from both of those. And that would give me 4/8 with a negative sign. And then we could take out a 4 from both of those. So you can see that you're going to do the steps no matter what. It just depends on what you do first. Same answer both ways. Try D for me. You can do it any way you want. And then check your answer. So for D down here, I would definitely multiply after simplifying because I don't want my numbers to be big. So I'm just going to put them in one fraction here. 2 times 5 times 13. And think about what I can reduce out of both of these. I can take out a 10 really from both. Because 2 times 5 is 10, so that'll cancel this 10 right here. And now I'm left with negative 4/13. Much easier than multiplying first and getting negative 40 over 130 and having to reduce from there. You can still do it. You will get the same answer. These are both divisible by 10. When you divide out of 10, you get that negative 4/13. So again, different process, different order of steps here, but the same answer. And the last operation we have to talk about is division. So when you're dividing fractions, this is probably the trickiest one of them all. When you're dividing fractions, we're still going to keep that same first step. So you're still going to change mixed numbers to improper fractions. But look how many steps you have in part 2. You're going to keep, switch, flip when you're dividing fractions. What that means is you keep the first fraction the same. You switch the division to multiplication. And you flip the second fraction to find its reciprocal. All a reciprocal is the flip, okay? So if I have 1/3, the reciprocal would be 3/1. All you do is flip it over. These are reciprocals to each other. And then you multiply straight across, just like you did with the multiplying problems, and then you simplify. Remember, you could switch those steps. You could simplify and then multiply too. So the last 3 examples on your notes are 3 division problems. Once you have these rules written down, try them. You can follow along with me, or you can follow along with one and then pause and try the other 2. Whatever you want to do. So again, when we have dividing fractions, change to improper first. This first example doesn't have that. And then I'm going to keep, switch, flip. So I'm going to keep that first fraction exactly the same. It's just going to be 5/11. I'm going to switch the division to multiplication. So division now becomes multiplication. And then I'm going to flip 1/2 to get its reciprocal. The reciprocal to 1/2 is 2/1. Now it's just a multiplication problem, and we just did a bunch of this, so we're good at it. Just multiply straight across, 10/11. If you're feeling really good and you want to try the next 2 on your own, you can go ahead and do that, and then you can press play while I go through. On the next example, you have these mixed numbers, so I definitely would change them to improper first. 2 times 6 is 12, plus 5 is 17/6. I wouldn't even flip anything yet. Just keep it as a division problem. Just get the numbers into improper form. This is a negative, so this one's going to be a negative, and now just do 1 times 2. plus 1, so negative 3 halves. Now let's keep, switch, flip. Keep that first fraction exactly the same. Switch the division to multiplication. And flip the second fraction to get your reciprocal. Negative 3 halves would be the same as 2 over negative 3. And now you're ready to multiply straight across. You can simplify here if you want. There's a 2 that's in both the numerators and the denominators, so you can simplify. If you don't catch that right away, that's okay. 17 times 2 is 34. 6 times negative 3 is negative 18. But now you have to take the 2 out at the end. So this is going to give me 17 ninths. It's going to be with the negative down there. It is better, though, to put the negative either out front, so negative 17 ninths, or in the numerator. I wouldn't leave it in the denominator there. Last problem then. Mr. Ducci is making a homemade pizza for his family for dinner. The dough recipe calls for 2 3/8 cups of flour and it makes 2 crusts. If Mr. Ducci only wants to make 1 pizza, how many cups of flour should he measure? So he's only going to make half of the recipe, or he's dividing the recipe in half. Instead of getting 2 crusts, he just wants 1. So let's divide this recipe in half. 2 3/8 divided by 2. Now you may look at this and say, well, I'm not dividing fractions here. 2 isn't a fraction. Any number can be written as a fraction. What can you write a number over top that will not change its value? Over 1. So 2 is the same as 2 over 1. Let's make this an improper first. 2 times 8 is 16 plus the 3. Keep the division for now, and now we make the second number a fraction by just writing it over 1. Now I can do my same rules, keep, switch, flip. It's going to give me 19/8 times 1/2, multiply straight across. 19/16, which is the same as 1 3/16 of a cup. So he would need to use 1 3/16 cups of flour to make his 1 pizza crust. All right, guys, you finished your notes here. You're ready for your exit ticket.